welcome to Flowers for Dreams DIY Workshop. My name is Allie and I will be your flower coach this week. We are making a beautiful, lovely, elegant English garden lush bouquet today. It has wispy greenery, it has soft pastel tones of flowers, and just makes you feel like you're in a garden. So hopefully this beautiful arrangement will accent a little garden into your home. Let's get started with finding out which flowers we have. These lovely roses that are Coral Reef, they just have a lovely orange tone to them, a little bit of that pinkish edge and a little bit softer orange tones towards the center, and they're just going to open up so beautifully. We have two different kinds of purples this week. We have a more periwinkle looking Lavender Statice, and we also have these soft pastel Lavender Roses, Spray Roses, which are just so sweet. Then we also have our yellows. We have some Solidago, and we have these lovely Mustard Carnations, which have that hint of antique look to them, give us a little bit different of a yellow feel, but also coordinate with our palette. And then we have two different kinds of foliage this week. We have this lovely olive, which has really dark color on one side of the leaf and then really light on the other. It just offers such a lovely contrast. And then we also have these beautiful silver dollar eucalyptus leaves too. So I hope you are going to enjoy. Let's get started by cleaning up our flowers. You just want to take off all of the lower leaves. Don't want anything touching the water. Just because it does create a bacteria in there, and you don't want bacteria to grow. It kills your flowers faster. So just go through your flowers that you have in front of you, clean up the lower leaves. If you do find that there is a leaf that you want to leave on that's not going to touch the water, that is totally fine. If you're not sure if it's going to touch the water, we can find out later. So just leave it on if you'd like to leave it on. No problem at all. Okay, let's see here. I got almost everything cleaned up. These statice, okay. And the Solidago is pretty much cleaned up in the lower parts, but we might need to clean up a little more when we're going through and separating these different flowers out. Let's pick a vase. I think I'm gonna go with our mason jar. It just kind of screams garden to me. So that's the one I want to go with to start. I think I'm going to start off with these, our olive foliage to create our grid. It is very branchy, so if you have a good piece that you can just clean up the lower leaves and stick that into your vase, it'll offer such a lovely grid. I'm just going to separate mine out into a few different pieces. I think these might be too low to reach. Can have a little mini vase later. All right, clean up those lower branches. Anything that's going to be in water. We want to make sure when we are cutting our plants or stems, that we want to give an angled cut to them. It helps them drink a little bit more water and gives a little bit more surface area for them to drink water too. Ooh, lovely. Maybe a little too tall, but we can trim that a little later. Okay, I feel like actually that one might be tall enough to reach. Let's see what this looks like. When you're adding your foliage in, you do want to crisscross those stems. So I'm taking this one and crisscrossing it through, and I do feel like that is a bit tall. So I'm just going to take that one piece off and use these separately. Lovely. And then let's do the same with this. Let's clean off those lower pieces. Find a nice height. I think I want that a little short. Cross it through that grid. Look, quite lovely so far. All right, so we have our olive branches all set. Let's add in a bit of our eucalyptus. So eucalyptus tends to be a little bit of a softer branch, tips over a little bit easier. So you may want to use it as more of a spilling out greenery rather than an upright greenery. But it all depends on the branch, of course. And sometimes they just want to stand straight up. Well, you never know. All right, so I'm just going to go through and cut off these longer pieces that I can use as individual stems. I'm leaving it through that grid, adding them into our arrangement, and spinning the vase so I am adding that greenery all the way around. Fill up our vase. I'm just going to continue to do that real quick here because we have a lot of little pieces. So hopefully those little pieces will add up to a lush greenery filled vase. And with eucalyptus leaves, sometimes they have some bite marks on some leaves or some broken leaves. Just don't worry about it, just pluck that one off and move on. As we know, our plants grow in nature, so not every leaf is perfect, but it can be perfect for your vase. All right. One more, and I think I have a leaf that spilled out as well. I will get that back into my vase. There. Lush garden start to our arrangement. I'm going to trim this one back just a little bit. All right, there we have all of our pieces. Let's get into our flowers, shall we? I feel that I want to start with these roses. I think they're quite lovely. We have 3 of them, so we can kind of sprinkle them around the arrangement. You want to pull off any of those petals that are looking a little rough. We can take the flower and give it a puff of air. That'll help open the rose up before it starts to open naturally. So what I do is take my fingers and gently open the rose a little bit and then give it a big puff of air. That opens everything slightly. Another thing that you can do is spin your rose, and I think these ones might be a little crunchy to be able to do that. They're really firm rose, but let's see. What you do is take the rose between your 2 palms and gently spin it back and forth. Yeah, this stem might be a little too crooked. Might be a little too fresh, but we will move on. It'll naturally open up, so don't worry at all. Last rose, let's pull off those petals that are looking rough. Give it some air. Oh, this one's stem is a little straighter. There we go. Let's see. There. So if you do have a straighter stem, it'll open up a little bit more for you. I have these 2 roses are pretty similar height, so I'm going to take this one and go just a little bit lower, I think. All right, and now let's do our spray roses. So the same thing with the spray roses, you want to take off any petals that are crunchy or brown. Give them a little puff of air and they will open up quite lovely. I think because we have two of these, I think I'm going to put one towards the front and one towards the back. And I'm going to go just a little bit lower than our roses. And for this one, I think I might go a little bit higher, just because we have this lovely focal towards the front of our arrangement. I do want to create it in a 360, so it can go in the center of a table or the center of an island. And to do that, I want to make sure that I'm not leaving any empty spaces. So I think I'm going to put this spray rose a little bit higher and towards the back. So we're still seeing it a bit from the front, as you can see, but it is adding a little bit of interest towards the back of that arrangement. Not too much to take off. We want to go add our flowers at an angle into our vase through that grid, so it holds them sturdily in place. Nice and sturdy. Again, remove any petals that you don't want. These spray roses will open quite fully, so they will take up a little bit more space than you'd expect if they are closed up at the moment. All right, let's add our carnations. So we have 3 carnations. I think we're going to kind of space those out around the roses to get your carnations to open up a little bit more. You can pinch on either side, kind of I squeeze this way and then this way, and then I rotate the the carnation. So give it a little pinch and then a pinch the other way, then give it a little rotate and do the same. And that will open up your flower a bit more. You can fluff it. This is one of the only flowers that you can kind of push the petals open and it doesn't bruise them as easily. But you do want to be gentle when you do that. Let's see. And this one over here. Lovely little pop of yellow. This one I think I want to do a little bit taller. So again, we can pinch either side. We can also rip the green of the carnation. This area right here, we can let that open a little bit. It allows for the flower to kind of fold open. If you don't like that look, and that is totally okay, you do not have to like it. Just, you can open the flower the usual way, or just let it naturally open as well. But it lets it have a little bit more air and fluff to it. Makes it almost feel a little bit more like a ranunculus with all of those petals and with the movement that it has. So just a little bit fluffier, a little bit different of a look. And let's see, what else? Where else? I think we can go down here, maybe with, yeah, this spot over here doesn't have yellow, so I'm going to go over there with it. I don't want it to be as tall as the roses. I want it to sit a little bit lower. So I am going to cut it at an angle and then feed it through at an angle through that grid. leaves or olive leaves if you feel like they are in the way. All right, now we have our Statice and our Solidago crosses, our filler flowers. I think I'm going to do the Solidago first. It's a little bit larger, and then we'll be able to see what small Statice spots we can fill as well. So I'm just going to go through. I think it'd be quite lovely to have the texture of Solidago in there. So I'm going to add this piece. Okay. I'm going to rotate it around again. I think right here feels a little empty. So I'm going to add a piece over there. Do kind of push your greens open. You don't want them to all fall to the outside or stick straight to the middle. You want them to be feathered in throughout your arrangement. They're quite lovely, a good spot to fill. Let's see. And under here feels a little empty as well. So I'm going to take this last piece. And I have, it's going to be just a little bit shorter. And with the lower pieces, what you do want to have happen is you want the stem to kind of hit on the vase on the side rather than being straight up and down. If it's straight up and down, it's going to be more towards the center of your vase. And to get that kind of sprawl, that kind of open feel, you want to have those stems hit at an angle. And sometimes that means you need to cut the stem more than once, because this is where I want my stem to hit, but now it feels a little bit too far out of my vase. So I'm just going to trim that a little bit shorter. I'm going to pull off some of these lower pieces of foliage so that they're not getting in my water. There. It's in the vase. And it's in the vase, sorry, and it has a nice angle to it. It's taking up that cute little spot right there. All right, so now let's add in the Statice. Statice tends to be more branchy, so you can get a few different pieces out of it. I think this is going to be long enough for me to use on its own. I think this one's going to be long enough for me to use on its own, and this one as well. And I'm just going to go through, kind of separate that out. I'm going to leave this tall, fluffy one. All right. Now, again, just spinning the vase, finding out where those empty spaces are in the arrangement to add a little bit of texture and color. So I'm just spinning the vase, adding those pops of Lavender Statice. But again, I do feel like it screaming periwinkle to me. It has a hint of that blue tone in it. I'll add a piece up here. And Statice is quite lovely. It's a long-lasting flower, but it has such a nice straight stem. Well, I mean, angles a little bit, but it's very easy to weave that through the grid. You don't have to worry about it usually getting stuck on many different things, which is nice to add in at the end. Sometimes it gets kind of tricky, and if you're pushing on that stem too hard, it could break it. So what we want to do is kind of weave that through, find the spot towards the mouth of the vase to push the stem into the water. You don't want to push from the top, because that'll end up with a broken flower. And I feel like it's pretty full, but it could use something under this rose right here. So I'm just going to trim the this last piece of statice that I have. Weave that through. Again, I want it to kind of spill out, so it's going to sit kind of midway through the vase in the water. Weaving it through that pretty full grid now. All right. I'm just going through and fluffing the greenery pieces a little bit. In some areas I have them tucked a little tight to each other. And I do feel that our olive branch that I left a little tall is actually quite nice to have that kind of poking up at the top, isn't it? All right, well there you have it. An English garden arrangement for your home. Just a lovely last pop of different kinds of colors. Feels a little fall, but still giving us a touch of vibrance before we get into winter, of course. But I hope you all are having a lovely, lovely time arranging flowers with us. And please do take photos of your arrangements and share them with us on Instagram at Flowers for Dreams. And I look forward to seeing you again. Have a great week.